Geopolitically, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they simple pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl, somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick. With a forceful grip, they force a misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature, that mean extorted it. They forging it, if news ain't good informants who informing them. There's a surplus, but they tell us there's shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this, we porting ships important. Yes, of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informing this, informing this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers actors say they high, say they simple pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real?
Wow, that was crazy. I glitched out. All right. What's up, guys? So, yeah, early on Christmas. Yep. Cool, bro. Low-key stream. Going to address some things that I guess have to still be addressed or whatever. And I'm just going to break down the argument in entirety so everyone understands, so we can get rid of some misunderstandings. So, shout out to all the legends that caught it. Let's just jump right into it. So gravity just trying to hold a brother down, you know, and it seems like there's some confusion about this, so we should put it to rest. You see what I did there? So they say we live here in this magic spinning cartoon world that defies physics, which is super exciting, right? And the way that this works is we are in the fabric of space and time that bends central to the sun. Yes, guys, the cartoons are the best that we have. This is 2020, and this is top tier proof of space. So let's zoom in on the Earth. Okay. Now, this is this gravity well caused by the bending and warping of space and time, and then it causes the moon to go around us. Of course, we have this issue where there's an atmosphere around the magic spinning cartoon ball, and of course, this would be in direct contradiction to the second law of thermodynamics. Simply could not happen. This is because gas instantaneously will seek equilibrium in any and all directions. Instantaneously. So this automatically refutes the nonsensical claim that there's a pressurized system with a near perfect vacuum adjacent with this magic space-time fabric that's bending and warping and having physical properties, even though it's conceptual abstractions stacked upon each other, prohibiting the second law of thermodynamics and natural law from taking place. It's stupidity. It's nonsense. So the reason I'm making the stream is not going to be very long, just to clarify all of this. None of this has ever disappearing from my understanding or my argument if I ever bring up anything to do with a misunderstanding of gravity. So, it's just trying to hold a brother down. So we got to put it to rest. They say it's magic bending space fabric. It's stupid. This is a cartoon of where they say that we live and that we're going around the sun because of Helios worship. And then there's gas adjacent to an imperfect vacuum. It's stupid. Now, this is the thing, and this is what I guess there's some confusion here. It's almost as if what I'm doing could potentially aid the other side or something. No, so maybe I'll give some clarity as to how that's just not the case at all. What I'm saying is that when things do fall, so I'm not saying gas falls because gas doesn't fall. We just discussed how it goes in any and all directions instantaneously. Second law of thermodynamics, entropy will increase. There's no way to prevent it. The high pressure system will migrate to the low pressure system automatically, instantaneously, seeking equilibrium, as does everything. It's literally an impossibility to have this pressurized system adjacent to a near perfect vacuum. But when things do fall down, right, they go down to the Earth. And the Earth is electrostatic. And everything that could fall down to the Earth is also electrostatic. In fact, the gas is also electrostatic. It's just moving so much faster, creating so much more energy than anything the electrostatics could have to do with it at all. Okay, so to make sure I'm really driving the point home here, though, this can in no way aid their side of the argument. A concession to what I'm postulating actually permanently ends their side of the argument, right? Because if electrostatics is what's at play, which it is objectively, we know about electrostatics, and it's incredibly weak. Incredibly weak. Not nearly as weak as this fairy tale that they say gravity is, right? But it's incredibly, incredibly weak. Although, like 10 to the 39th power stronger than their claim of gravity on the smallest scale, it is still super, super weak. That's 3 times, just so we all understand it. It's super weak, okay? But it is there. So what they have to do is handwave dismiss it, basically, come up with this idea of gravity, hijack Coulomb's law, barely change it to make a law of gravitation equation, and then they make up fairy tales about how as you get further away, because the mass is so big, space and time in some type of fabric bend around giant masses, causing other giant masses to orbit one another. Okay? We don't in any way have anything to do with that leap of nonsense. In fact, electrostatics is so weak, and if the Earth is acting as if a compilation of incoherent magnetic matter, then it would get weaker and weaker as it got bigger. It is a direct contradiction to what they claim, which is that as it gets bigger, it gets stronger, which is the only way they can propose this heliocentric fairy tale pseudoscientific nonsense that defies natural law. Yes, we can decapitate it by taking away space. That's cool, but that isn't all of it, right? So if we affect directionality with the manipulation of a density of a medium, that's cool. That's what we should constantly flat smack with. Where's your all-powerful gravity that makes atmospheres sit next to vacuums and giant balls wrap around each other in a fabric of concepts? We should call that out, right? But that's not what we're discussing here. That's something entirely different. We're talking about the Earth is electrostatic, more specifically dielectric. And when things fall down to it, that's dielectric. But gas doesn't fall down. Yeah, we get it because let's say helium, for example, it's lighter than the air. When you manipulate the density of a medium and it affects directionality, the relationship or the pressure mediation that results from you manipulating the relationship between the object and the density of the medium is way stronger than electrostatics, but never in this process do you exclude electrostatics. Did you negate or control the variable of electrostatics? Never, ever. So until that's done, you literally cannot stamp a definitive positive claim as if scientifically irrefutable that it plays no role when you didn't control or negate the variable, and it is still there in everything. And therefore, if we can demonstrate that based on a charge of electrostatics, you will see certain types of directionality, you literally cannot claim that the only cause of directionality is density alone because electrostatics is still there. Completely non sequitur, non-related to their nonsense of what they're claiming. They have to claim that gas somehow gets contained. I don't have to claim that. I'm not claiming that. There's a container. That's the only way that we have gas. They say it's being contained by conceptual abstractions bending. I'm not saying that. The only way we have gas pressure is a container, bro. because the gas is doing what it wants to do. We know for a fact there's not a vacuum up there. There would have to be a physical container. But what we do know is we have pressure and it's contained. And we do know we have an electromagnetic field. And we do know that everything's electrostatic and that the velocity, the elastic velocity, i.e. the elastic energy of the gas is so much stronger than electrostatics. It's never going to prohibit its travel or anything like that, but it's still inherently electrostatic. And we know that manipulating electrostatics a plethora of ways, we can show you that it affects directionality. So if the Earth has a negative charge, if the Earth is a dielectric plane and maybe inverted on the other side of it, as it is a dielectric plane through the electromagnetic field, then if something falls down to it, seeking equilibrium, pressure mediates, and it falls down to its electrostatic equilibrium at rest, well, there's a reason that it wants to fall down there to the negative charge. That's just how it works. And so what we do know is there is a geocentric stationary plane that we call Earth. It's just flat, okay? There's just a flat Earth. There's just up, and then there's down. And these are objective, although relative to one another, relative to our perception. When it comes to the Earth, pertaining to the Earth itself, it is a geocentric stationary plane. It is flat, a topographical plane with up and down. This up and down is just objective. It's the way that it was designed. Now, of course, you can just stop right there, but some of us don't want to just stop right there because we want to figure out what we were lied to about. We don't just want to point out that they lied to us. We want to figure out what we're lied to about. Falsification is independent of replacement. That's one of my biggest sayings. I say it to Globers all the time. But that doesn't mean that I don't have to limit myself to only never trying to figure anything out, especially whenever I have all observable phenomena, all matter, all understanding of every object that exists. So if electrostatics is there in everything, how can we just act like it isn't there? So hopefully this is clarifying the misunderstanding here. This can't be used for them. This is a weapon against them, a deadly one at that, because it actually proves, for example, if it's incoherent matter, well, incoherent magnetism basically then has a disproportionate effect on the strength of pull, which, this is so hard to have this conversation because people don't really know proper connotation or denotations of these words. They have inaccurate connotations that they were taught, right? Magnets don't attract or pull, right? They accelerate to each other. There's a magnet energy field, pressure is being mediated. Now there's a no pressure point, and they're going to accelerate to that because of the energy and how they react to one another and how pressure is mediated. Everything is pressure mediation. Everything's electrostatic. The Earth is a dielectric plane in the electromagnetic field that we objectively know that we have. We can't demonstrate any way to permanently or definitively exclude electrostatics or negate it. It's inherent in the matter itself. So if we live on a geocentric stationary plane and there is an up and down, So when we take the helium balloon, it goes up because there's an up and there is a down, okay? Although you have to take it, contain the gas, and then it doesn't go forever. We can't even go up past 60 miles. We don't know what's up there. We don't know exactly what happens if we're being completely honest. We just know that gas pressure requires containment. And that their pseudoscientific claim of there being some vacuum next to it isn't true, but we know everything's electrostatic. So it doesn't make any sense to say, I don't have to acknowledge it because we manipulated the density and saw directionality change. I've manipulated electrostatics and saw the directionality change, and it gets hand-wave dismissed. And we'll say we didn't see this in nature. But I guess I don't see a glass of water or an egg, or I don't walk outside and see a freaking glass of water with an egg dropped in it and then salt added to it. But it's okay. You're demonstrating and controlling the variables. Just like if I go and boil water, you can maybe see it in nature, but whatever. You can say you can maybe see it in nature. Well, you can see effects of electrostatics in nature. Dude, how do bees fly? Literally, they're unaffected by crosswinds because of electrostatics. What about spider ballooning? What about lightning? It's a phenomenon that humans claim they don't fully understand. Some will claim that it goes up, but if it goes up, there's a small charge that meets what's coming. It meets it close to the surface. The surface is negative, and we don't fully understand the phenomena of lightning. I admit that, but we know that the Earth has a resonance field. Tesla proved this in 1899. It acts as a cavity resonator, and it has a resonance field. And electrostatic resonance is incredibly weak in its resting potential, but it's still there. It isn't gone. So there we go. We've covered it. And I just thought it was a funny title. Gravity just trying to hold a brother down. So I'm gonna come check out the comments now. I guess maybe we should have clarity on that now. Let me think if there's anything else here. Let's specifically talk about gas. That's what everyone wants to talk about. I know the gas its velocity is way stronger than electrostatics, but it is still there. And so the gas has to be contained somehow. I'm not making a claim to containment. I'm not claiming electrostatics is going to switch back on and contain it up there. I'm not claiming that, right? There's a container, but everything's electrostatic. there's a container within this closed dynamic system that has a geocentric stationary plane, and there's an up and down, and the freaking Earth is clearly the dielectric plane in this electromagnetic field we have. And if we're not ever going to go explore that or acknowledge that or have these discussions within our own community, we're going to sit here stagnant, and that's actually what they would prefer, right? Try to center us into a corner of the internet and then keep our arguments themselves within some type of reiteration of pointing out their fallacies. My goodness, at this point, we could just do it after chugging a fifth of Jameson. It's laughably stupid. Their debate's over. I'm not saying we shouldn't still expose their arguments, but we should progress and stop just saying that relative density disequilibrium is 100% definitively the sole causal agent. That isn't true. You didn't even account for something we know to objectively be there. That's electrostatics. I am not making this is what really I should have started it all with. I'm not making a definitive 100% claim. I'm not saying I have scientifically proven 100% that electrostatics creates a downward bias on the Earth, and that's what we know for a fact. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there is up and down, okay? And the Earth's electrostatic, whatever does fall to it or go away from it, is also electrostatic. Its electrostatic nature and resonance is super, super weak. We can prove this 1,000 different ways. It's been known for decades. So there you go. It's obviously a factor. So if I take a beach ball, throw it in the air, it falls to the ground. Then I take a beach ball, swim to the bottom of a pool, let go of it, it goes up. I manipulated the density of the medium, thus determining directionality. Yes, we have substantiated that if we control the variable of the density of the medium, we can actually manipulate and even change inversely the direction of the object. That's cool. If you invoke a vacuum, all you've done, you stupid globers, is help our argument. You're manipulating the density of the medium. Well done. I agree. But there's more to it. We can sit here and not address the more. That's cool. But I don't care to go out there and address it, because I can make the gas goes in omnidirectional dispersal instantaneous action or instantaneously argument in my sleep, bro. Can we not all do that at this point? So gas doesn't hurt my argument. It doesn't hurt my argument. You know, if we're going to get super technical and dogmatic, like there aren't helium balloons in nature, bro. So like if I can't use a Van de Graaff machine and then I can invoke a bee or a spider or lightning, all literal naturally occurring phenomena, but then to demonstrate that helium goes up, although we don't know how far or why it goes to a certain distance or what we don't know even what's fully up there, then somehow that demonstrates that there isn't electrostatics at play, because there just is in everything. So that's my whole point. That's why I get frustrated. So I don't even like to have the conversation. You can see why I don't know really what happened. I jumped on FED or whatever, but maybe it was poor timing. Maybe I jumped in. I don't know, whatever. But the point is, this is simple stuff and like semantical spirals, because basically people are misinterpreting the argument as if it's going to aid the globers. It can't. It literally can't. If what I'm saying is true, it decapitates the globers. It's just like the ether. People hate it, think it's a bad word, don't want to talk about it because I can't bottle it up and hand it to you. If there's an ether, the entire heliocentric model is decapitated upon that conclusion immediately, inherently, intrinsically. But hey, we should not even address the background medium that's inevitable and needed to explain observable phenomena like non-locality, instantaneous action at a distance. You can't even explain phenomena without it. So, but that's just a perfect example. It's the same thing with this. This definitively ends the argument, guys. That's the whole point. That's what you need to understand. If electrostatics is there and it's 10 to the 39th power stronger than what they claim gravity is, and it doesn't pull things from super far distances and all this crazy nonsense they make up, but it's 10 to the 39th power stronger than gravity, it's always there, you can't negate it, then you could never claim gravity. You can't even get in the ballpark of claiming it. You can't even control the variable and exclude for the variable that's way stronger than it, so you could never be able to differentiate the energy output. It's stupid. It's a good thing for us. We, as a people, as a society, have successfully allowed these crazy math magicians that control all the academia and the indoctrination to tell people that somehow this isn't the case, or somehow that gravity just gets way stronger eventually. It just happens out there. It just happens when things get way bigger. I promise gravity just steps in and takes place of it. Whistle right past electrostatics, the phenomena, literally hijack the phenomena. Coulomb's law, change it up a little bit with the reification of some deified force that isn't a force with concepts bending. Call it the law of gravitation, and no one will. And this is the updated to what it was originally just taken from an observable phenomena that doesn't allow the Earth to be a ball. It's the same thing as the ether. The ether doesn't allow the Earth to be a magic spinning ball. Dude, Electrostatics doesn't allow the Earth to be a magic spinning ball. That's what it is. It doesn't allow it. Gravity doesn't hurt me. Gravity is my argument. I mean, gas. Gas doesn't hurt me. It is my argument. Gravity, as is currently defined, isn't my argument. In fact, I'll just break it down since we all know it. I can say it super fast. We all should know this by now, like the progression of gravity, right? You have Newton, mutual mass acceleration, proportionate mass, mass attracting mass, just pseudoscientific nonsense. You fast forward to 1915, the crazy little incestuous grabbler that was Einstein, who married his cousin, wrote about 1.5 sex with their daughter, was an ethnic supremacist, was an idiot, couldn't do math, had to use a Serbian mathematician wife at first to even put out any of his stuff. He stole every single aspect of it, was a complete and total psychopath, wanted to know what it was like to be God, wrote slave rules for his wife, and he said that concepts could bend. He forgot to put on the proper clothing. He was a psychopath, but it's all good. We'll give him a pass because of his genius, because he said concepts bend. And this was in 1915. So it superseded Newtonian physics in 1915. First, he came out with special relativity in 1905, attributing a constant speed to light. Then taking that pseudoscientific math magician fairy tale. Then he went on to 1915, saying 3 primary claims with general relativity, attributing a constant speed to light, that energy and mass are interchangeable, and that gravity is the effect of the bending and warping of space and time. Space, a concept of a privation, if you want to get technical, an area mathematical description of an ideal or concept of measurement and quantification of a privation, the absence of matter, the area empty or absence of material. And then you have freaking time, which is a human construct used to quantify passing, derivative of the sky. If we had to call a minute 30 seconds, what happens? Did reality change? No, time is just a human construct. This crazy grabbler that was literally a psychopath says that concepts can bend, and people run with it. And at the time, people knew it was stupid. At the time, Tesla was just talking about how stupid it is on its face. You're reifying concepts. And in fact, if you think there's an equal and opposite reaction, the curvature of space would straighten out. And it's a futile pursuit ever to explain the heavenly bodies without the acknowledgement of an ether type of background. It's a futile pursuit destined to oblivion. And that people that adhere to general relativity basically need to understand that it's just a beggar in royal clothing that fools mistake as a king. Right? And this was when it came out. And then you get to the 50s, and then their own heliocentric paradigm of looking at lights in the sky and making stuff up. They saw the galaxy rotational speeds were way too fast, doesn't work, had to make up dark matter. That's freaking 70 years ago. And they've kept this band-aid that is general relativity. That's what it is. It's a band-aid, a reaction to the ether and the problem with Michelson-Morley and Michelson-Gell, which flat earthers have been, once again, led to not discuss that, right? And then we fast forward to now. The point is that they still use this little band-aid that is general relativity, although reluctantly trying to get rid of it now, and then adopt some idea of quantum field theory. Well, maybe there is some type of background, but we can't call it the ether, so we'll call it quantum foam and quantum energy and quantum fields and quantum blah blah nonsense, because we just can't say the word, because heliocentrism is decapitated as soon as they acknowledge it. Same thing with electrostatics. So I'll stop being repetitive very simply. If it's incoherent dielectric acceleration, if it's incoherent magnetism, dielectric acceleration, electrostatic acceleration, that is magnetism. Everything is electrostatic. If you drop something though, then you're adding acceleration to it, adding movement to the static resonance that is there. Incoherent dielectric acceleration, coherent because they're molecularly aligned like a magnet would be. Incoherent because they're discombobulated. Molecules are not aligned. They're going all kinds of different directions, thus being weaker and weaker and weaker. As you add more incoherent matter to it, it continues to get weaker, and its pull, its strength of pull is disproportionate to the amount of matter. This decapitates heliocentrism, and we're not even entertaining it. And we actually have the fact that we know everything is electrostatic. Gas going everywhere doesn't mean anything at all, because that doesn't mean electrostatics isn't there. Because with my argument is there's pressure in this closed dynamic system, it must be contained, and electrostatics is incredibly weak, but cannot be negated or excluded for, thus prohibiting any rebuttal or postulation to purely speculation as to the definitive causal agent. Very simply, you cannot claim that density alone is definitively the sole causal agent when electrostatics, a provable variable, has not been accounted for or controlled. Whew. There we go. Glad we got that covered. What's up, guys, in the chat? Oh, we got 58 legends in Dlive. What's up, everybody? My boy Brian Stavely dropping a diamond. Thank you, my man. Morning, morning, morning. What's up? So yeah, I was just making a quick stream just to cover that. It's just real simple, guys. So there you go. I'm going to end the stream. I'm doing one again tonight like I always do, right? So I'm going to go get something to eat. That was it, guys. That's why I just real fast on the cuff came in here to do it. It's just really simple, bro, and it's just super frustrating. So, you know, if I say when things go down, I'm not assuming that things always go down. I know that they don't, but when things go down, they are electrostatic. The Earth is electrostatic. When things go up, they are electrostatic. The Earth is still electrostatic. And gas has an elastic velocity and collision rate and energy way stronger than electrostatics, but it's still inherent in all matter. This can only decapitate their argument. It's only ignorance of what the actual argument is. Could anyone conflate or misunderstand that it could somehow potentially aid heliocentrism in the nonsensical claim in violation of natural law that gas is next to a vacuum? I'm not aiding that nonsense. We have to have a container, but everything's electrostatic. I'll stop saying the same thing over and over. If it's not understood by now, I'm not sure what to say. I want to make sure that it's very understood, though. If anyone does have a question or something that wants to argue from the other side, or what, I mean, that's what I don't understand. When allowed to lay the argument out like in entirety, it isn't an argument that can actually be lost. Like, it isn't I'm not saying that because I'm cocky or something. No, I'm just not stupid. That's my actual argument, is just me acknowledging what I honestly can acknowledge. That's all it is. So it can't actually be refuted. It can only be strawmanned, interrupted, misrepresented, misunderstood, but that's it. They can be hand waved, dismissed, right? Because whatever you want to say, it's just ridiculous. Like, for example, guys, everything's electrostatic. If I have distilled water, okay, I can put all kinds of plugs in it, all kinds of circuits, all kinds of electricity going on, blow dryer, throw it in there, open it up, throw it in there, in distilled water, nothing happens. You're good to go. If I now drop this electrostatic water out of a faucet, I can make it move with electrostatics. Everything's electrostatics. Everything is inherently intertwined with electrostatics. That's the whole point. So, guys, you got to get real. Technically, everything's dielectric. It's electrostatic, dude. It's not even complicated. It's not. And it's super weak. But we do know that electrostatic forces can be attractive. And also, we should look and fully understand the electrostatic nature, the resting electrostatic potential of these gases, right? So look at this little cartoon that you're going to see when you Google up here. You're going to see this right here, right, with positive charges. What are positive charges? What's an electron, right? What they call electron, one electron. Look, there's a positive here. This is helium, a positive charge. One electron's orbiting right here in this. Dude, shut up. What's an electron? What's an electron? We know the phenomena. We know how to locate it. It's reoccurring. But what is it? You don't know. You're making some subatomic claim of a materialistic characteristic of a particle, and you can't in any way validate that. It's pseudoscience. But it's just a part of the dielectric field that's in everything. That's what an electron is. Dun, dun, dun. So, like, even when the gases are going everywhere, they have an inherent electrostatic resting potential. All right, that's about it. I can't say anything else about it. Take a physics course from someone that understands electrodynamics. Good one, dude. Get a professor and tell him to debate me. Bro, how they calculate the difference between gravity and electrostatics when never proof the existence of gravity? It's just funny because I'll just show you guys. I mean, what's funny is they just stole Coulomb's law, bro. That's all they did. I think I have it downloaded already. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, guys. Like I said, it's going to be a short stream. Just wanted to get this message out there. Apparently, it still needs to be discussed. Bada bing, bada bang. All right, this is from Boston University. We can find the gravitational attraction using the universal law of gravity. The electrostatic attraction between the two is given by Coulomb's law. We can find the gravitational attraction using the universal law of gravity. The electrostatic attraction between the two is given by Coulomb's law. That's all they did. was hijack it and subvert it. Both are really small forces by everyday standards, but notice how much bigger the electrostatic force is. The only real one, of course, 10 to the 39th power. So the electric force is 10 to the 39th times stronger than gravity. Seems negligible in comparison. And then they're going to tell you behind this nonsense, or well, just the truth, really. Gravity just, the truth is gravity is nowhere to be found anywhere. And so when you adequately address the actual phenomena that everything's electrostatic, if there is any type of incredibly weak, damn near negligible attraction, it would only and could only be from the inherent electrostatic resting resonance and resting potential of the matter. That's literally all it could ever be. And it's so incredibly weak that it's laughable. And in fact, this decapitates the idea that it could ever turn back on hundreds of miles up and then contain gas, that it can make giant gas giants stay together in a vacuum, and it can make them revolve around one another. It just couldn't happen. So this puts a nail in the coffin that is a heliocentric mechanism claim of orbit, and their claim that violates the second law. It ends everything. It ends everything because electrostatics is so incredibly weak. It can't do any of these fake pseudoscientific phenomena that they claim gravity does. It can't, because for when gravity doesn't exist, the Earth isn't a ball. They're making up explanations based on the assumption and confinement of some spherical, water ball in a vacuum brought to them by Jesuit priests. So they don't. The point is that electrostatics is way stronger, way, 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 way stronger, but incredibly weak. So the point is that they have to make up a story that once it gets further out, that all of a sudden it's real powerful or something, right? But that has nothing to do with the truth. The truth is that electrostatics is there, and if anything has anything to do with anything, it's just electrostatic, and it's incredibly weak, right? And so you could never claim gravity. It ends the conversation. It ends it. I'm not just going to be like super reiterative. That's why I'm frustrated, is I don't see how people don't understand that. It's taught at MIT that electric forces hold this world together. Their own math state this. Yeah, everything's electric, and they're trying to use the phenomena that is objective to explain some pseudoscientific fairy tale where water bends in a vacuum. It's whatever. And think about this. So if helium downward acceleration does exist and will also affect the helium as well, think about this. If you have, say you have helium and it's going to go up, well, what if you took all the gases that were underneath it away? That's interesting. That's interesting, huh? I guess we'll just act like nothing would happen and it would just go everywhere. All right, I don't want to. I know that if we start talking, it'll be a super long. What's the shirt say? It's Yeshua in Hebrew. It's going to be a super long stream. I don't want it to be. Basically, the whole point is I don't even like gas doesn't hurt my arguments. Gas helps it, and I'm going to keep it at like 30 minutes. Right? I just looked at 33 minutes and 33 seconds. That's so funny, but I'm going to do a stream later, so I just don't want to do a long one. But the point is I just want to keep this concise so everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's really simple. The elastic collision and velocity rate of gas is way stronger than electrostatics. If it ever had an effect on it, it would have to be outside of the purview of what we have access to. It could be way higher up. I don't really know. It could have small effects now, but we wouldn't really know. Again, because the velocity of gas is so much stronger than electrostatics, but the gas is inherently electrostatic. That's just what it is. It's just what it is. And then they've given you pseudoscientific definitions of an electron. So, look, a helium, He+, it has one single electron orbiting in this conceptual abstraction known as an atom, which is 99% empty space. And all this pseudoscientific nonsense where they want to quantify the immaterial, ignore the electric nature of everything. You know why? Because the electric nature of everything decapitates heliocentrism. That's why they can't absorb it. And they're coming up with electric universe trying to make the ball work still somehow, and they can't figure it out because they never will. The futile pursuits, you have to understand electricity is a hybrid. Electrostatics and magnetism are intrinsically tied to one another, and the Earth is intrinsically tied to all of these effects and all of these characteristics. It's the dielectric plane and the electromagnetic field, and there's a negative charge on the surface of the Earth, and everything seeks equilibrium, and something will migrate to the negative charge to seek equilibrium. Pressure is always mediated. If everything in existence is electrostatic and everything seeks equilibrium, you cannot say that equilibrium being sought isn't in any way related to the variable of electrostatics. It's preposterous. There you go. Electrostatics affects gas like all other matter. Look into ionic wind. I'm not even saying that it doesn't affect it at all, but even without that, the point is that without that, I don't even make that argument. It doesn't, because it doesn't even matter. My point still remains. My point remains. The Earth has a resonance field. We do have a gradient. Gas is constantly cycled at the surface. If there's a very, very weak resonance of electrostatic potential, could it have an effect in the concentration that is constantly being cycled at the bottom? I don't know. Maybe, right? Closed dynamic system, energy being introduced and constantly fluctuating. We don't know all the variables. We don't even know how to quantify, much less even understand in any way the energy input or what it could be or where it's coming from or what it is. And then weather patterns and temperature fluctuation affects, gases. So there's no way to really know, man. But yeah, we'll figure it out. At least some of us want to figure it out. And just like that's why I started this video. Just like, dude, don't try to hit me with the gas argument, dude. I can make the gas argument with the best of them. Helium doesn't, like, if you take a helium balloon, which according to certain people's standards isn't a naturally occurring phenomenon. I don't see balloons in nature. If you just take it, let it go up in the air, it doesn't just go forever, guys. It doesn't do that. And yes, I do think the density relationship is obviously a huge crucial factor, because it always is. And actually, let's just get real specific, and I'll conclude it on this. Sorry, guys, I don't want to read any chats. Just because I don't want to be here too long, because I know I will. I just know myself. Thanks for everybody kicking in Dlive. Y'all are legends. I'll catch up with y'all later tonight. Shout out to all the legends and YouTube. Thanks for kicking it. And I'm trying to think, what was the final point anyway? I can't remember. I lost it. But yeah, anyway, so dang, I can't remember. All I know is none of it's complicated, right? And I've explained it numerous ways. Okay, yeah, this is what it is. Thought you had me, didn't you? So, if you want to get technical, the discussion is going to have to boil down to, what is weight? Gravitas, what is weight? What is weight? Is it acceleration downward? Is it pressure exerted? What is weight? What all is at play when it comes to determining weight of something? Well, we have the density of the object. We have the medium as a whole. So not just the density, predominantly the density, but the medium as a whole. We have to account for the density, the medium, the coherency of the object, which we discussed earlier. We know this because you can think of it simply. If you have something magnetic and you drop it and there's something metal down there, it's going to accelerate faster. That proves right there that the manipulation of coherency can affect acceleration. Okay, so you need to know the coherency of the environment, the earth, or whatever the object's falling down to, right? So we're going to get the weight of an object or whatever. It's not even properly defined if you don't account for all those variables and some, like the vector. And so if you don't account for coherency, which is the most relevant here, then you can't make a definitive claim. You've only accounted for part of it. It's not complicated. It doesn't mean you're wrong. You're not wrong. We all agree it's objective. A manipulation of the density of the medium relative to the density of the object will directly affect and determine the directionality. No one disputes that. And gas seeks equilibrium instantaneously, omnidirectional, infinite vector, just goes where it wants to. But we don't know an orthographic view. We don't know the entire thing. We do know that gas is electrostatic. We do know that everything's electrostatic. We do know that the Earth has an electrostatic field. And actually, if you know anything, then you know that there's a freaking medium behind all of this that's holding it all together. So that's how you know. And that there's at least a beginning to be able to address the fact that everything with matter is electrostatic because it's intrinsic within the medium it's encompassed in. But people can't even just be honest and address the fact that everything's electrostatic. I've had this so-called debate with people 20 times, and every time I ask this question, I don't get an answer. I only get something read from a script. If everything is everything electrostatic, this is the question I never get an answer to. Can you name any compilation of matter that isn't electrostatic? So anyway, there you go. Incoherent dielectric acceleration. You can't say anything about it. The point is electrostatics does affect it. And what you must concede is you cannot make a claim of density relationship, so relative density disequilibrium, being the sole causal agent of directionality. because objectively, electrostatics is still at play. Objectively, we can demonstrate electrostatics will affect directionality. Thus, objectively, it could play a role in its seeking of equilibrium, i.e. pressure mediation. Therefore, objectively, it's a variable that must be accounted for. And until you can exclude or control that variable via an exclusion, then verifying some alternative, you can't hand-wave dismiss it. You can't make a claim to so-causal agents by controlling one of the variables. That's it. So you can speak truth unequivocally, and don't let people back you down for speaking the truth. Thanks for everybody for kicking it. Thanks, Dlive. I'm going to catch up with y'all later tonight. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks for buying the chat. Sorry I didn't read a ton of the chats. I've already been on for 40 minutes. I just know this is how I am, and I want to I got to take care of some things and eat, and then I'll be on later. So, yeah. I'm going to catch up with y'all on the flip. So unplug from the beast system, metaphorical ideological box that keeps you plugged in. And that's all it is. You need to unplug from the system before it gets too late and everyone starts plugging into the system, That's about it. So I'll catch up with y'all later tonight. I don't know what the stream's going to be about. Hopefully this brought some clarity to what has turned into the train wreck that is gravity. It's really simple. I can decapitate their nonsense pseudoscientific claims. One might ask themselves, why does this need to be discussed? Well, I want to know the truth of things. I know we were lied to about magnetism. We were told magnetism is only coherence magnetism. That is not true. Everything's inherently magnetic and dielectric. Those are intrinsically the same thing. The dielectric field is magnetism. Dielectric acceleration, that is magnetism. That's coherence. And we need to know these things. We need to understand the phenomena. This is tracks back to some of the biggest deceptions, and how they control us and the power they have over us, such as the electrical grid. We don't understand basic things. I think that we need to figure it out. We need to come together as a people and get down to the truth and stop just looking at what they have engineered for us to look at. It's stupid. And so if everything's electrostatic and the earth we know is flat and we know how we have electromagnetic field, we need to put the pieces together. Mainstream can't. They believe they live on a magic spinning cartoon ball in a dielectric plane. Things seek equilibrium there, bro. That's just how it works. So until you can exclude these factors or address them and control them adequately, it is beyond intellectually insufficient and invalid to pretend that you can somehow rebut my claim with a vague postulation about the behavior of gas, as if implicit in your claim is a straw man that somehow I say gas doesn't do that. Because I don't say that. It doesn't matter. My point still remains and is objective. And so that's how I feel about it. Take it or leave it. We can talk about the gas in depth more if you want to at some point in the future, but it doesn't. My point is, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter when it comes to how I'm being strawmanned and muted and cut off and misrepresented, and people are running around talking about. No, dude. People don't even know if you've heard the stance now, if you listen to 45 minutes, and if you don't have a sufficient rebuttal, it's cool, but dude, don't act like somehow someone's going to wipe the floor with me because I don't feel like screaming about gas. We know what gas does, bro. Happy holidays if you celebrate. Went away. Well, thank you very much, bro. And thank you for the super chat, Steve and me. You are a legend, bro. Always hooking me up. I really am going to get out of here. I'm sorry. I love you guys. I just know if I start reading the chat, so many people might be here that are homies, and I'll stay here forever. I really just got to go, take a shower and eat. So I'll catch up with y'all on the flip. I always forget where everything's at. Okay. So yeah, just speak truth unequivocally. I'll catch up with y'all later tonight. Just don't know what it's going to be. I'll catch up with y'all. Peace.
That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sipping pills. Glorify suicide so they can get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force a misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature that mean extorted it. They forging it. If news ain't good, informants who informing them. There's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we porting ships, important gifts. Of course it is what extortion is, in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informing this, informant this. It looked like we were snoring tricks. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder is it real? Rappers act as say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder is it real?